Discover how a heartwarming act by a poor street girl transformed a billionaire's life forever. In the heart of the city, where skyscrapers pierced the sky and the cacophony of life buzzed around, a vibrant little girl named Lily navigated the gritty streets. Her laughter rang out like music, even as she tucked her worn-out blanket tighter against the chill of the alley where she found her makeshift home. At 12 years old, Lily was a force of nature, spunky and brave, selling newspapers every morning. Despite her tough situation, she'd greet every passerby with a beaming smile, radiating warmth that melted the coldness of the concrete jungle. The sun peeked through the clouds one drizzly afternoon as Lily spotted Mr. Thompson, her elderly neighbor, struggling with his groceries. She rushed over, her heart full of kindness. "Let me help you with that," she chirped, grabbing the heavy bags. Mr. Thompson, a retired veteran, smiled back a smile that hid a million hardships. "Lily, you're a true blessing," he murmured, gratitude shining in his old, tired eyes. Later, when he offered her a few coins for her effort, she humbly shook her head. Instead, she fished out her last dollar and pressed it into his weathered palm. "You need it more than I do." Across town, in a mansion adorned with gold and glass, Charles Montgomery paced, bathed in the shadows of his wealth. A self-made billionaire, he had spent years climbing an endless ladder of success, losing sight of everything else in the process. His daughter, estranged, and his wife, barely present, filled his life with echoes of loneliness. Yet, he was on a quest for more money, more status. His phone buzzed constantly with greedy whispers, drowning out the voices of love and family, but that stormy afternoon, as thunder rumbled, Charles stepped outside to find a girl huddled beneath her blanket, lost in the rain. Initially, he brushed past her, but then he watched as she selflessly gave away her last dollar to an old man struggling nearby. Something stirred deep within him, a pang of guilt washed over him. It was a moment that shattered his walls of indifference, leaving him yearning. Had he traded the heart of life for mere digits in a bank account? Just as public outrage erupted over his company's treatment of low-income workers, he found himself reeling. The whispers of the crowd tormented him, urging him to reconsider his ways. His grip on success began to slip as he reflected on Lily's act of kindness. Who truly was the successful one? His office felt suffocating, the riches around him began to feel like chains. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As his corporate world crumbled, Charles found himself drawn back to Lily. The girl with a relentless spirit and a kind heart was now his unexpected beacon of hope. Their lives, so different yet intertwined, revealed what it meant to be truly rich. But just when Charles began to grasp the value of family and community, fate struck like lightning. Lily's struggle intensified, a fierce storm brewing in her life that threatened to push them apart just as he began to understand what it meant to change. In those turbulent moments, both characters would have to fight for what truly mattered, forcing them to confront the very society that had cast them aside. Would they stand together against the storm, or would their paths diverge once again? The answer hung in the air, tethered to their fates, waiting to unfold. The rain fell harder now, a relentless downpour that mirrored the turmoil in Lily's heart. She huddled beneath her blanket, racing thoughts swirling in her mind like the storm clouds overhead. Just days ago, she had a little more hope. But when a gang of local toughs forced her to part with her earned money for the week, snatching her newspapers and tossing her to the side, her circumstances deepened into despair. The dampness clung to her skin, a constant reminder of her reality. She had always faced her troubles with a smile, but now, her spirit felt heavy, like the skies above. It wasn't just the loss of her hard-earned coins that pained her, it was the sense that she was not just fighting for her survival but grappling with a world that didn't seem to care. Her laughter faded, replaced by thoughts of disappointment. Meanwhile, as the storm raged, Charles Montgomery stood in his lavish office, looking out at the city. The glimmering skyline felt distant and isolating. Guilt gnawed at him, and beneath the glossy surface of his wealthy existence, he felt an emptiness that was becoming impossible to ignore. The echoes of a past he lost with his family haunted him. Memories flooded his mind, family dinners filled with joy, laughter that lit up every room. Now, it was just him and the quiet of his achievements. Lily's selflessness had tugged at the threads in his heart. Could he really be that man again, the one who had forgotten the essence of being human? Just then, a text from his assistant popped up, pulling him back to his responsibilities, meetings that felt more like chains than opportunities. But today was different. Today, he felt a spark. His resolve was clear. He needed to help Lily. Leaving the regimented environment of his office, he headed out into the storm. Every raindrop that hit his face washed away a little more of the greed that had held him captive. He found himself walking through the streets, drawn instinctively towards the alley where he had first seen her. The world bustled around him, people rushing by without a glance. But all he could think about was seeking her out, this girl who showed him what real riches looked like. Lily's eyes widened as she spotted him. Muddy and drenched, he seemed like an apparition. Why was he here? She stood up, clutching her blanket tighter as a wave of confusion washed over her. Charles took a step closer, his heart pounding, the weight of the world finally falling from his shoulders. "Lily," he called, his voice just above the sound of the rain. "I need to talk to you." But even as he stepped forward, she hesitated. Trust wasn't something she'd given easily in this life. With a firm but gentle resolve, he approached her, kneeling to meet her at eye level. "I want to help you. I can help you." Lily studied his face, searching for any hint of deception. He appeared genuine, yet the cynicism of the streets wrapped around her thoughts tighter than the blanket on her shoulders. "Help? Why would you want to help me?" Her voice trembled slightly, a blend of curiosity and suspicion. That he took a breath, lamenting too much of this emptiness. "Because I can't stand by while you struggle like this. You showed me what it means to be alive, to care for others. I want to give back." In that moment, the rumbles of thunder felt like a backdrop to the tension between them. Trust, like the fragile bond they now formed, hung in the balance. Would she accept his help, or would the walls she built keep him at arm's length? Would Charles finally step into the light of transformation he desperately sought, or would the shadows of his past drag him back down? The storm raged on, but within its chaos, the quiet promise of change hovered, waiting for a decision to be made. Lily's heart raced. The weight of his words settled over her, heavy like the rain pouring down. She looked into Charles's eyes, searching for the sincerity she craved. "And what do you think you can do?" "I've tried. I've tried so hard, and nothing seems to change." The storm seemed to lessen for a moment, allowing a tiny space for hope. Charles hesitated, then took a step back, his brow furrowing. He wanted to say the right thing, to convince her he wasn't just another fleeting figure in her life. "I have resources, connections. I can help you find a place to stay, maybe even a job." A flicker of disbelief crossed her face. "You want to help me because you feel guilty?" "No." He spoke a little too forcefully, then took a breath. "It's not just that. You've taught me something. When you handed me that paper, talking about it like it mattered. No one looks at the world like you do. I want to rediscover that myself." Lily pulled her blanket tighter around her shoulders, the raindrops mixing with the tears she didn't want to shed. "But why me?" His eyes softened. "Because I see you." Her walls started to crack. It was a simple phrase, yet it felt like a weight had been lifted. Charles didn't need to know all her struggles, even the darkest parts, to see her worth. Maybe there was a chance for something more than just survival, but doubt lingered, dark and heavy. "You're from a different world, Charles. What do you know about my life? You just walked away from." She trailed off, her voice wavering. "I know I've been blinded by my privilege. I've let it create this wall between me and the rest of the world." He stepped closer again, the rain soaking into his shirt. And I don't want that anymore. I want to change, to do better. For the first time, she noticed the sincerity behind his words. The man in front of her was drenched and vulnerable, stripped of all that distance wealth provides. And if I say yes? She asked hesitantly. I promise to do everything I can to help you, and maybe along the way, we can help each other. That small glimmer of hope danced in her chest, but the years of struggle were hard to shake. What if you tire of me once I'm not cute or inspiring anymore? No one is cute or inspiring all the time, Lily. He smiled gently, and it frightened her more than the rage of the storm. What matters is how we treat each other when things get tough. And trust me, I know a thing or two about tough. She glanced at the street, where the rain poured like the troubles in her life. Then back at him. What if you can't follow through? What if I fall again? Then I'll be there to catch you, he said earnestly. I'll make sure you don't have to do this alone ever again. Breathless, she felt something in her snap. Her vulnerability laid bare before him, she felt the truth of their moment. Was this what it meant to risk again? Just then, the rain intensified, crashing against the pavement like 1,000 hearts beating in a frenzy. She hesitated, looking into the storm and then back at Charles. The warm glow of his determination reached her, pulling her closer to the edge where hope met fear. Okay, she whispered, almost afraid of her own voice. Okay, I'll try. And as that small decision hung in the air between them, thunder rumbled ominously. Would their fragile connection withstand the trials ahead? With every decision made in the coming days, they would find out, and the storm outside seemed like a fitting backdrop to the chaos of new beginnings. As they stood together amidst the rain, the world felt heavier than ever, rights and wrongs blurred in the shadows just beyond their reach. But there was a spark between them, a new bond forming, fragile yet undeniable. What awaited them was unknown, but Lily's words had been spoken. Change was here, or was that just the beginning of another storm? Lily took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. She could feel the warmth of Charles's gaze on her, a stark contrast to the cold rain that drenched them both. A sense of unease gripped her, the cliff she stood on so precarious. What do we do next? She managed to ask, her voice trembling slightly as if she could still feel the storm shaking her. Charles ran a hand through his soaked hair, droplets cascading down his forehead. First, let us get out of this rain. I have a car nearby. I know a safe place we can go. The mention of the car sent a fresh wave of doubt crashing over her. A car? You mean your fancy, perfect world? I'm not sure I fit into that. He took her hand, gently squeezing it. You don't have to fit anywhere you don't want to, Lily. But I want to share this with you. Just give it a chance. She looked down at their joined hands. Was she really ready for this? The thought scared her, but a flicker of courage ignited in her chest. Okay, but promise me something. Anything. Promise you won't see me like some project or... She trailed off, searching for the right words. A charity case. Charles's brow furrowed as he listened intently. I promise. This is about you, not some obligation. I want to help because I want to. Let me show you what I mean. With a slight nod, she took a leap of faith, interlocking her fingers with his. Together, they hurried through the puddles, the sound of rain drowning out their steps as they reached Charles's sleek car. Inside, it was cozy, with the sweet scent of leather and a soft glow from the dashboard lights that chased away the chill. As he started the car, the warmth enveloped Lily, making her feel safer than she had in a long time. But beneath that safety lay a nagging fear. What if this was all just a temporary fix? Where to? He asked, glancing at her. Just drive, she replied, hoping that distance might offer her more than just a new location. She needed space to think, to breathe away from the chaos. As they drove through the city, she couldn't shake the memories of hard nights spent alone, wondering if she'd ever escape the life she was trapped in. The lights of the building sparkled against the rainy backdrop, a stark reminder of a life that felt so out of reach. "Why do you want to do this?" she finally asked, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. "What do you get out of it?" Charles's expression turned serious, his focus unwavering on the road. "Because I want to be a better person. Maybe by helping you, I can find parts of myself that I didn't know existed." Sounds cliché, but it's true. She watched him, the sincerity lighting up his features. "And what if I can't meet your expectations? What if all I do is let you down? Then we'll figure it out together." Lily let his words wash over her like the rain had earlier, filling her with a sense of hope so foreign yet exhilarating. "What if this ends badly? Then we'll still learn something," he said simply, and she marveled at how such a simple statement felt powerful. Minutes passed, filled with unspoken words hanging between them like storm clouds, and for the first time, she realized there was strength in vulnerability. She was scared of falling, but maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to rise. And as they pulled into a small cafe, warm light spilling out into the rainy night, Lily found herself ready to embrace whatever came next. What waited for them inside was unknown, but she could feel the gravity of the moment pulling them deeper into something new. Would this be the turning point they both needed, or just another misstep in their journeys? Only time would tell. As they stepped into the cafe, the rich aroma of coffee and baked goods wrapped around them like a comforting embrace. The small, rustic space buzzed with light chatter and laughter from other patrons, a stark contrast to the stormy world they had just left behind. Lily hesitated at the entrance, her heart racing. This was not her scene, but she took a deep breath and stepped forward, led by Charles's steady presence. "Grab a table, I'll get us something," he said with a confidence that made her relax a little. She nodded, too conscious of the warmth blooming in her chest to argue. Finding a small corner table, she settled in, looking around. The walls were painted a cheerful yellow, adorned with quirky artwork. It felt like a safe haven, much like Charles's car had. She just hoped she wouldn't ruin this moment. Charles returned with 2 steaming mugs and a pastry that glistened with a sugary glaze. "You have to try this," he said, placing it in front of her. His smile was infectious, and for a split second, her worries faded. He was genuinely trying to make her feel welcomed, and she felt that maybe she could allow herself to enjoy this moment. "Thanks," Lily murmured, taking a cautious bite. The sweetness melted on her tongue, and she couldn't help but smile. "Wow, this is really good. See? A little taste of happiness," he replied, his eyes twinkling. She loved how effortlessly he could make her laugh. It felt so foreign yet oddly familiar. Just as they started to relax, Lily noticed a couple at the next table, their harsh whispers piercing through the easy atmosphere. It was hard to ignore their pointed glances in her direction. She could almost hear the judgments they were forming. Who was she, sitting there with someone like Charles? Her pulse quickened, and she focused on her mug, trying to ignore the discomfort rising inside her. But Charles noticed. "Hey," he said softly, placing a hand over hers, "ignore them. They don't matter." Their eyes met, and Lily felt a jolt of warmth. It was the first time someone had actively defended her like this. Normally, she would shrink away, but with Charles, she felt emboldened. "I'm trying," she replied, vulnerability creeping into her voice that he chuckled lightly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You'll get there. I believe in you." As the chatter around them faded, Lily realized how much she needed to hear those words. Soon, they began sharing stories, her about the struggles she faced, him about the pressures of his privileged upbringing. For the first time, Lily felt like they were connecting on a deeper level, the rain outside forgotten, but as laughter filled the air, doubt still loomed in the back of her mind. What if this was too good to be true? What if she sabotaged it as she had done before? "Lily?" Charles's voice broke through her thoughts. "What are you thinking about?" She hesitated, the weight of her fears gathering like a storm again. "Just everything. What if this ends up being a dream? It's real." "I'm here," he reassured her, leaning closer. You can trust me. At that moment, a flame of hope lit within her, but the anxiety lingered like an unwelcome guest. She wanted to believe Charles, but a voice inside screamed for caution. Just as she opened her mouth to express her uncertainty, the cafe door swung open, and a gust of wind swept through it, unnaturally chilling the atmosphere. All eyes turned to the entrance as a figure stepped inside. Lily squinted, trying to make out who it was. The moment she did, her breath caught in her throat. It was someone from her past, someone she thought she had left behind. Lily, the figure called out, and the warmth of the cafe suddenly felt suffocating. What would this person bring into her already tangled life? The gravity of the moment pressed down on her. Would her past seep into the fragile connection she was building with Charles? She looked at him, fear shining in her eyes. What would he think? Who is that? Charles asked, his concern evident. Just as she opened her mouth to explain, the figure took a step closer, a smirk playing on their lips as they locked eyes with her. In that split second, Lily felt her world shift yet again. How would she respond? Was she strong enough to face her fears? The cafe felt too small, the walls closing in, and the air thick with uncertainty. All she could do was wait and see what came next. Would this confrontation tear everything apart, or could it lead to a new beginning? Only time would reveal the truth. The stranger stood there, framed by the cafe's doorway, their presence slicing through the warmth like a cold knife. Lily's heart raced, and her palms grew clammy. She had shielded herself from this moment for so long, trying to build a life that felt secure, but here it was her past crashing in like an unwelcome storm. Lily, the figure repeated, this time with a tone dripping with familiarity. It was Charlie, or at least that's what she used to call him. They had once shared secrets like childhood friends, but that was before everything had changed. Charles, still sitting across from her, seemed to pick up on the shift in the atmosphere. You know him? He asked cautiously, concern etching his features. Lily nodded slowly, her breath hitching. Yeah, sort of. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Her voice was barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly would summon more memories. Charlie took another step forward, closing the distance, his smirk growing. Miss me? He asked, feigning innocence. His eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and judgment, immediately reminding her of nights filled with wild dreams and harsh realities. It's been a while, she managed, though her pulse hammered in her ears. Long enough, he replied, his gaze flicking to Charles. And who is this? Your new rich boyfriend. The words were laced with scorn, a reminder of the divide between their worlds. Lily felt the heat rise in her cheeks, embarrassment washing over her. Charlie, that's not fair, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. She didn't owe him an explanation, but the remnants of their history kept her muted. All the moments of shared laughter turned bitter in an instant. What, you think he'll save you? Charlie leaned closer, dark amusement flickering across his face. What are you going to do when he discovers who you really are? A girl from the streets. Just like the rest of us. Charles, perceptive as always, could feel the tension thickening the air. Why don't you leave her alone? He said, his protective instinct kicking in. The determination in his voice surprised Lily, and she looked at him with gratitude mingled with fear. You don't know anything about her, Charlie shot back, disdain radiating in his tone. Lily's not some innocent princess. She's just running from reality. With every word, Lily felt the walls of her carefully constructed life begin to quake. What if Charles believed him? What if all the hope she had found in those few moments shared over coffee unraveled? Stop it, she pleaded, speaking to both of them. I'm not what you think. I'm trying to be better, but her voice faltered, vulnerability seeping through as doubt washed over her. Would Charles realize that the girl he was beginning to care for was tangled in a web of past mistakes? Charlie smirked, his presence overpowering like a shadow cast in daylight. Better? Good luck with that. When a heavy silence settled, the laughter and chatter around them seemed to fade into a distant hum. Charles's eyes narrowed, a blend of confusion and anger dancing across his features. For the first time, Lily feared losing both her past and her present. "Lily, is this true?" Charles asked softly, his voice cutting through the fog of uncertainty. She felt shrunk under his gaze, the weight of her truth bearing down like a leaden blanket. All the courage she had gathered just moments before slipped away like grains of sand through her fingers. "I." The words tangled in her throat, and she could only hope that this moment wouldn't destroy what they were building. "I can explain." But the cafe, once a sanctuary, felt like it was tearing at the seams, and the storm clouds of her past loomed ever closer. Could she still hold on to the light she had found with Charles, or was the darkness of her history too powerful to overcome? As she glanced back at Charlie, a sense of dread coiled in her stomach. How this would end was anyone's guess. Would she find the strength within to push past the shadows, or would she have to face the heartbreaking truth that her past might always haunt her? Before she could form another thought, Charlie chuckled darkly, his eyes gleaming as if he had already won the battle. "Get ready, Lily. This is just the beginning." Lily's heart pounded in her chest, a frantic drumbeat that matched the chaos swirling around her. The cafe felt smaller, walls closing in as the weight of Charlie's words hung in the air. She could sense the curious eyes of other customers, their whispers trailing like smoke behind her. "Lily," Charles repeated, his voice steady but tinged with concern. "What is going on? Who is he?" Her breath hitched again. Trust was fragile. She felt like she was standing on a tightrope, above a chasm of secrets and lies. The way Charlie grinned at her, smugness radiating off him, made her fear every word she might say next. I grew up with Charlie. We were friends, but things got complicated," she said, trying to piece together a truth that wouldn't tear her apart. "Complicated?" Charlie echoed, his brows raised in mock surprise. "You mean like how you abandoned your old life? Just left it all behind while you played house?" That jab stung like a knife. Memories washed over her, uninvited. A young girl dreaming of more, caught up with friends who weren't always good for her. But she fought hard to change, to be someone different. "Enough." Charles snapped, the anger spilling out now. "Lily, you don't need to explain yourself to him. We all have pasts." She met Charles's gaze, hoping to find solace in his understanding. But the conflict swirling in his eyes made her heart sink. "Do you trust him?" Charlie pressed, stepping closer, like a predator circling its prey. "Or is it just the money that makes this new life feel better? You forget who you are, and eventually, you'll come crawling back." Lily opened her mouth, trying to speak, fighting the flood of emotions threatening to drown her. "I am not that person anymore," but the conviction in her voice faltered. Could she prove it? Could she show Charles that there was more to her than her past? Charles stood up slowly, his chair scraping against the tiled floor, a harsh sound echoing in the cafe's charged silence. "I want to know the truth, Lily. All of it." His words struck her like a slap, but they were a lifeline, too. She felt corners of her heart unraveling, and a wave of courage surged through her, igniting a flicker of hope. Before she could reply, Charlie laughed, a sharp, low sound. "Oh, this is rich. You think she can change? There's the saying that you can take the girl out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the girl." The sting of humiliation mixed with rage, building inside her. She felt the surge of adrenaline arming her with resolution. "Maybe you're right, Charlie. But I'm not running anymore, and I want to let you define who I am." A momentary hush enveloped them. It was as if the world held its breath. Charles's eyes flickered with surprise and then admiration. Was it possible that the girl he was slowly falling for could be standing right in front of him, fiercer than she ever showed? "What do you really want, Charlie?" Lily demanded, feeling the shift in the room and embracing her newfound strength. "Do you want to break me down or finally let me be who I am?" For a moment, Charlie looked uncertain, his mask cracking just slightly. But that only made him angrier. You think this is about you? I'm just reminding you of the truth. The tension soared, suffocating. Lily, Charles said, his tone softer now, you don't have to answer him. You're stronger than people like him. Just as she thought she might unravel the tight ball of fear in her chest, Charlie's voice cut through. Oh, I'm just getting started, sweetheart. There's a lot more about your past that I know. A chill ran down her spine as the weight of his words loomed over her like a thunderstorm. What did he know? Would he expose her secrets? Charles's jaw tightened, sensing the turn in the conversation. He positioned himself closer to her, a barrier between Lily and the echo of her past. Lily, whatever he says, it doesn't matter. Just tell me what you want, he urged, serious and genuine, pinning her with his gaze. Tears stung her eyes. Did she want to go back? Or fight fiercely for what she had found? The answer was right in front of her, but the impending storm of Charlie's revelation loomed. Trust me, she whispered. But Charlie's presence clung like a shadow, and she knew that the hardest battles were still ahead. Would she be brave enough to face them? Or would she find herself crushed under the weight of her past? As silence wrapped them in its tense shroud, Lily felt the storm gathering, and uncertainty trickled into her mind. What secrets would unravel next, and would the truth truly set her free? The air around them was charged, almost electric with tension. Charlie leaned forward, a smirk etched across his face. You really think you've changed? That you can just wipe your past clean with a little money and a pretty smile? Lily's heart raced, anger spiraling through her. She had worked so hard to escape that life. Charlie's words were a reminder of the shadows she fought to leave behind. I want to let you drag me back, Charlie. I'm not who you think I am. His laugh echoed in the cafe, mocking and cruel. She could feel the stares of the other patrons prickling her skin, but this time, she didn't want to hide. She wanted to scream, to rip apart the facade he had woven around her past, to reveal the warrior she had become. Lily, I don't think you see it, Charles said softly, his voice cutting through the noise of Charlie's taunts. He is trying to trap you with guilt, to keep you under his thumb. Don't let him. She turned to Charles, searching his eyes for the reassurance she desperately needed. You really believe that I've changed? His sincerity was a lifeline, and for a moment, she felt herself wanting to reach for it. Yes, he said, his gaze unwavering. I see strength in you. But you need to believe it, too. Charlie shifted his weight, the smug look replaced by something darker. Strength? You call it strength while you play house with your rich boyfriend? Tell me, Lily, is this life worth forgetting everything? Your friends, your roots. That jab cut deep. Those friends had meant everything to her once. But now, they were part of a history she worked to move past. Memories flooded her mind of laughter mixed with heartache, of nights spent scraping by, and dreams that seemed so very distant. Could she really bury those connections just by striving for something better? Stop! She yelled, her voice trembling. You don't get to decide who I am. I define my life now. Her heart hammered in her chest, a wild rhythm of defiance and fear. Around her, the cafe felt stifling, the walls looming closer. The faces of the other customers were blurred, mere outlines in a world that felt like it was unraveling. I know things, Lily. The things you wish to forget. Your past is never truly behind you. It's a stain that can't wash off, Charlie snarled, his eyes glinting with malicious excitement. Lily locked eyes with Charles. I can face it. I can face him. She drew a deep breath, feeling the power of her decision surge through her veins. You challenge me, Charlie. Maybe it's time someone held you accountable for your actions, too. A hush fell. Charlie's grin faltered. Surprise crossed his features, quickly replaced by rage, and the air crackled with electric animosity. Are you serious? He scoffed, trying to regain his former composure. You think you can take me on? You're just a little girl playing dress-up. No, she said firmly, shaking her head. I'm a woman who's ready to reclaim her story, to own every piece of it, good and bad. Charles stepped closer, offering her a reassuring nod, his faith radiating from him. Lily, remember who you are. You are not defined by your past or by the words of someone who doesn't know your fight. Charlie's smirk had vanished, his bravado faltering. You really think you're something special? Remember, I know all your secrets. I know how the streets claim their own. The weight of his words hung over her, but instead of fear, a new resolve blossomed inside her heart. Let the truth come out then, Charlie. I'd rather own it than let you use it against me. Charlie opened his mouth, but her fierce gaze silenced him. She felt emboldened, buoyed by Charles's presence. This was her moment, and she wouldn't allow anyone to take it from her. Just as certainty began to fill her, a sudden crash shattered the moment. A commotion outside the cafe drew everyone's attention. The front door flew open, and a figure stumbled inside, breathless. Lily. You need to come outside. Now. All eyes shifted as curiosity rippled through the crowd. What could possibly be causing such urgency? What is it? Lily demanded, her heart racing once more, but the answer she received was far from what she expected. Charlie's not who you think he is. He has plans for you, and they're not good. Her pulse quickened. The storm was just beginning, and she could feel the winds of change swirling around her. Could she face whatever was coming next, or would her past finally catch up with her? Lily's breath caught in her throat. The urgency in the newcomer's eyes mingled with the chilling weight of dread. It felt like a nightmare trying to break free, but she couldn't turn away, not now. What do you mean, plans for me? She pressed, her voice sharper than she intended, cutting through the whispers of the cafe as if searching for answers. The stranger Jess, a girl from her old neighborhood, trembled slightly. She had once been part of the life Lily wanted to forget, but right now, she was a haunting reminder that your past never truly loosens its grip. You have to believe me, Lily. Charlie, he has been talking to people. Dangerous people. They want to use you. They think you're weak, like you'll be an easy mark because of where you came from. Shock coursed through her. Lily's mind raced. She had thought she was safe here, far from the ghosts of her past, protected by her new life and the person she was becoming. But here stood Jess, pulling back the veil and exposing a darkness she hadn't expected. Lily, Charlie's voice sliced through the tension like a knife. He stood, an embodiment of arrogance that fueled her anger. Do you really think you can trust anyone from that life? They're just looking to drag you back down. This is who you are now, he sneered, pointing a finger at Jess. Shut up. Lily shot back, her hands clenching into fists. She could feel every eye in the cafe on her, judgment and concern intertwined in their gazes. But this was her moment, and she wouldn't cower. You've tried to fill me with doubt, Charlie, but I'm not your project anymore. I have friends, my past is my strength, not weakness. Jess's expression softened, relief flickering in her troubled eyes. Then you need to act, Lily. They're coming for you. Who's they? Lily demanded, practically vibrating with a mix of fear and determination. A group that operates in the shadows. They've been eyeing you ever since Charlie made a big deal about your story getting out. Your transformation is a tale to exploit. You're a symbol they can use. Jess's voice quavered, but she pressed on. You need to get out of here. Now. In a flash, the warmth of Charles's support seemed distant. All the promises of a better tomorrow began to feel like delicate wisps of smoke. Something insidious had wrapped itself around her, and she couldn't escape the possibility that darkness still lingered close by. Let's go, Charles stated, reaching for her hand. His grip was strong and solid, and it made her heart race with an unyielding hope. But what if it was too late? Just then, a loud burst of laughter erupted outside. The tension had shifted palpably, and it pulled at her instinctively. Charlie stepped forward, amusement glinting in his eye. Oh, sweet little Lily, you think you can run? You're already a target, and you've chosen to drag those friends into your circus without realizing the train wreck ahead. Maybe it's time you learn some honesty, Charlie, she shot back, fighting to hold her ground despite the anxiety roiling within. You can't threaten me anymore. His expression twisted. It's not me you should worry about. It's the people who want to cut you down while you stand tall. An ominous feeling settled in the pit of her stomach. The celebratory shouts outside faded into a distant hum, overshadowed by the gravity of her decision. Would her past be a bridge she could cross, or a trap ready to ensnare her? Lily, Charles urged again, pulling at her hand, we need to leave. As they stepped toward the cafe door, a noise behind them made her freeze. It was the unmistakable sound of shattering glass. Was it happening? Were those dangerous shadows finally closing in? She turned to Charlie, defiance brimming in her eyes. You may think you've got control, but I'm done being afraid. Let us see how long that bravado lasts, shall we? He challenged, a chilling smile creeping over his lips. With her heart hammering in her chest, she knew one thing, whatever was coming, she wouldn't face it alone. But could they keep the darkness at bay, or would the past devour her? The moment of truth loomed ever closer. Did she have what it takes to fight back, and would the choices she made today solidify her future or seal her fate? Lily stood frozen, the intensity of Charlie's words wrapping around her like chains. But beneath that pressure, a flicker of resolve ignited inside her. She could feel Charles's reassuring grip, his presence a steadying force in the chaos swirling around them. The cafe felt both claustrophobic and filled with possibility. Let us go, Charles urged, his voice soft but firm. He took a step forward, leading her toward the door, but not without glancing back at Charlie. You can't control her anymore. She chooses her own path. Surrounded by whispers and curious glances from the patrons, Lily felt the weight of 100 eyes, yet the only gaze that mattered was Charles's. They didn't have time for any further confrontation. The storm outside had shifted, dark clouds swirling as if they sensed the brewing conflict. Lily. Jess's voice sliced through the moment, her eyes darting toward the window. Now. They're out there. Instinct kicked in. Lily glanced outside just as a dark SUV pulled up, engines growling, shadows spilling out onto the street. Panic surged within her. We need to move. She took a deep breath and bolted through the cafe door, tugging Charles along with her. The rain had lightened, but the air was electric with fear and adrenaline. Each step brought her closer to freedom, yet an echo of doubt lingered. They dashed into the alley beside the cafe, heartbeats pounding in sync. They reached a corner, and for the briefest moment, everything was quiet. Something in her wanted to stop, to breathe, to make sure they were truly safe. But with the looming threat of Charlie's shadowy associates, there was no time to waste. Are they following us? Charles asked, scanning the dark with worried eyes. I don't know, Lily stammered, her heart racing. I can't go back. He held her hand tighter. You're not going back. You're moving forward, with me. I promise. The promise hung thick in the air, pride and hope intertwined. She sensed the sincerity beneath his words, it pushed her courage further. What do we do? First, we need to get you out of sight. We can't let them catch up, he replied, scanning their surroundings. There's a substation nearby where we can go. Sounds good, Lily consented, her heart racing. She had never felt this kind of resolve before. Surge after surge, she could feel the fear transform into determination. As they made their way to the substation, emotions ran wild: fear, adrenaline, hope, and for the first time, an unshakable belief in herself. I won't let anyone determine my worth anymore, she declared, her voice steadying. They ducked behind corners, weaving through the streets until they finally reached the substation, an unassuming place that felt like a sanctuary against the dangers outside. Just as they slipped inside, a loud shout echoed from the street outside. Charlie's voice, filled with contempt, echoed through her mind. She pressed her back against the cold metal walls, her breath coming in quick bursts. What if they find us? We're safe in here. Just breathe, Charles said, his eyes capturing hers with an unwavering focus. His presence felt like an anchor. The chaos of the outside world faded as they sunk into a moment of calm. Little by little, they allowed themselves to catch their breath, their faces illuminated in the dim light. Lily let the warmth of his gaze wash over her. Thank you for believing in me, for seeing me. I will never stop seeing you, Lily. You're stronger than I could ever be, and together, we'll make it out of this, he said, a bright smile breaking through the tension. The vulnerability in his gaze erased the shadows of doubt that Charlie had cast. Together. The word felt like a ribbon tying a promise of what lay ahead. As the minutes ticked by, their bond deepened, held together by the weight of their struggles and the hope of a brighter tomorrow. With every breath, she could feel the world attempting to cut away their connection, but she wouldn't let it. Finally, the echoes of shouting faded into whispers. The men outside had vanished, the thrill of danger temporarily receding. Together. They stepped into the world outside once more. The rain had stopped, the dark clouds lifting ever so slightly. Where do we go now? Lily asked, stepping into the awakening dawn, finally free from the shadows. Wherever you want, Charles said, taking her hand confidently. This is our life. Let us change it together. A radiant smile spread across her face. Suddenly, everything felt lighter. They would face trials ahead, but they could weather any storm together. With a heart full of hope, she let laughter bubble up, a sound that shattered the silence, a declaration that she was still here, still standing, still alive. As the sun broke through the clouds, a warm light bathed them, and in that moment, she understood, together, they would shape a new story. One filled with resilience, trust, and a love that couldn't be broken no matter how fierce the shadows from the past might try to claw their way back. And at last, she was ready to take her place in the world, no longer just surviving, but truly living. So here's a call to you, the reader. If you believe in transformation, in the power of resilience, in light overcoming darkness, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click counts. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Join this community today.